Hello and welcome back to Take Refuge 3D. This is a tutorial on how to use the Ngone plugin for Blender, the Ngone Basic and the Ngone Pro version. I've just updated them recently and I just thought a final tutorial covering everything would be a good idea because it's all sort of spread out over a few different tutorials as I've been doing updates. Now, if you don't know how to install a plugin, we'll go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, Install. Okay, find our Ngone Basic that we've downloaded and click Install. Okay, and then you can turn it on with this little checkbox over here, and then you can go out of your preferences. Now we've got Ngone. You can see that there is some basic functionality here. Okay, so we've got create low poly, create high poly, rotate object if needed, and a text box where you can rename your objects. Okay, so with the create low poly and create high poly, I've actually just brought the Ngone Pro code in for these. So I'll show you what that is in a minute. Now, one of the limitations of the Ngone Basic version, okay, is this rotate object only works on one object at a time. So I'll just quickly skip ahead and rotate all of these. Okay, so we've got these rotated, and so now what you'll see, the newer version of the basic version, previously you could only work on one mesh at a time to create your low polys and your high polys. So what I might do here is I might just for the sake of convenience, we'll just make a duplicate and put it here. Okay, so now we've got the assets here, and then if we click create low poly, it's going to put them all in a group named low. So that's new in the basic version, which it previously would do it on an object by object basis and put it in its own group. And then we can rename, let's just say, we can rename objects one at a time as well. So if you wanted to rename it, so blah. Okay, and you'll see that's now called blah. And you probably want to call that blah underscore low. Now, if you want to upgrade to the Pro version, there's two links here, and this will just open a link in your default browser. Okay, so now moving on to the Pro version. Now when you upgrade to the Pro version, if you've already got the basic version installed, it is going to play up if you don't remove the basic version. I don't exactly know why, but I think it's because some of the code is the same and it interacts. So if you don't uninstall the Ngone basic version by going down here and clicking remove, okay, not all of the features will show up. So make sure that you get rid of the Ngone basic version. Then you can go and install your Ngone Pro version. Okay, so we're going to install this add-on, and we've got it here, and we should get this panel here. Okay, and if you don't see everything that you see here, okay, what you need to do is close Blender and open it up again. Okay, so just to make sure, because I haven't closed Blender yet, just to make sure that everything is working properly, I'm going to do that now. So I've closed Blender and I've opened it up again, and now there shouldn't be any bugs or anything, but that is something to note. If you are upgrading from Ngone Basic, make sure that you uninstall Ngone Basic and reinstall Ngone Pro in a fresh opening of Blender. Otherwise there may be some issues that arise. Okay, so now you'll see a lot more. There's create low poly, create high poly as before, merge vertices, okay, which just will automatically merge the vertices. So I don't know if on every mesh it's not going to have an effect, but if we click this, it will get rid of some. I don't think it worked in that case because I don't think there was any vertices to merge. Let's just try that again. Yep, okay, so we've merged vertices. Yep, okay, so that actually works. So you're just going to make sure that one of your objects is the active object. Okay, rotate object if needed. It works for all of the items now. And then we can rename it. The renaming only works one by one. So what I recommend is once you select the objects that you want to all make as one single object, which I'm just doing now, we'll just select all of these doors. Okay. And then we can go Control J to join them, and then we can rename this one as doors. Okay, and we can take these ones, we can join them, and we can call this tram. Rename it. So I'll just speed it up and we'll name some of those. Okay, so there we've got it. We've got this down to 3 objects. Okay, and now we can just duplicate this. Okay, and what we'll do is we'll call out of these ones, we'll go create a low poly. Okay, and we've got all of our low polys there, and we can just deselect our low polys, and then we've got our ones that we want to be our high polys. We can go create high poly, and we've got our, we can just, these backups and data, so this creates a backup copy of all of your objects, and the data creates the data transfer modifier information that's needed. Okay, so now we've got our low and our high. Okay, so we can turn our low back on, and you'll notice that the low poly has this .001 at the end of it. Now, when you're exporting to texturing software, you need a uniformity in the naming convention. So you want bars underscore high and bars underscore low. Now, you can do a search and replace for this, or you can edit them one by one, which is time consuming, or you can just select all of these and you can click into this get rid box. So we'll just pull this out. It says get rid. So you just type in .001 and then you click remove text, and it's just been changed over there. Okay, so that's just a really easy way to get things going. Now, if you want to select everything and you've made an error, we've got this backtrack and amend, so you can remove modifiers and backups. Okay, and remove suffix from active. Okay, so now that will remove all of the suffixes, and once it does that, it will actually add a 001 back to those, because you're obviously you can't have 2 objects with the same name in Blender. Okay, so we'll just select these. So look, nothing has any modifiers on it anymore, and we're basically back to where we started. So rather than having to sort of re-import your model or anything, you can just click this 1, 2, and obviously the remove text will only work, okay, if there isn't another object that is called that bars, for example. Okay, and just need to delete these collections once you're ready to start again. So we'll select these 3 here, okay, without the 001, and we'll create our low poly. Okay, we've created a new low poly collection, and then we'll select all the ones with 001 and we'll create our high poly. Okay, and then we'll just remove the 001.text. Okay, so that's all fine and well. I'm just gonna disable our high poly collection here. Okay, everything in the high poly collection is turned off now, and then you may notice some shading errors. Occasionally you will notice some shading errors on these objects. Now, when you're adding a low poly version, it's automatically sets the decimate modifier to it automatically sets a decimate modifier to 35%. with some lower poly objects, you may just wish to bring that up a bit. So like here, like 8.2 works, and if we look at our wireframe, it's still pretty low poly. So with this, the 35% is working pretty fine, but you can just look over your model to see if there are any shading areas anywhere, and then edit the decimate modifier accordingly. Okay. Moving on, we've got this. So let's say we want to create a material for this, and we'll say new material, main tram, and then for the doors we can say doors. Okay, and now you can just do a smart UV project. So you can just go smart UV unwrap and combine, and you can choose the angle. So we'll just go 66, and we'll just bring up a little UV editor down here. Okay, so you just need to click this once. Okay, and then you've got your UV unwrap already done there. Okay, and then let's say you want to include the texture map for these two objects to be in the same UV texture image. So you can actually just select two objects, and you can go smart UV unwrap and combine. That's what the and combine does. So anything that's selected will go into the same texture map. So now if we open up that, you can see everything has been put into there. And obviously if you've got a packer, or you want to use the Blender internal packer, you can just pack that, and then you've got a packed UV. Okay, so that's just a really quick way of working. Okay, and that is the basically that is the workflow for hard surface objects using Ngone. Okay. And I've also added this easy remesh for sculpts and scans. Okay, so let's just get rid of all of these. Okay, so we've got our Mandarin here, which is it's actually a photo scan. So if you go up to viewport shading and you change the color to attribute, you'll see that we've got vertex colors in here as well. So you want to create a Control D, a copy of this. It's just going to take a little moment. Okay, and you can get rid of that one. And then we want to create high poly. Okay, for this one. Okay, and that'll take a couple of moments because it's a very high poly object. It's going to take a little bit longer than some of the other stuff I've been working on. Okay, so we got our high poly, and we can just remove our text 001. Okay, and we can just turn off our high poly object. Now with the low poly one, we actually want to shade this smooth. Okay, and on easy remesh, you can choose the voxel size. Now you might need to have a few tries with this, depending on the scale of your object. It's going to be different, but if you just hover over here, there's a tooltip. A lower value will preserve more details, and voxel adaptivity. A higher value will generate more details where it's needed and less where it is not. Okay, and then we can perform a voxel remesh once so I've got 0.005. This is going to really depend on your object, what the scale is, and then the voxel adaptivity. So we're going to perform a voxel remesh. That'll take a couple of moments, and we'll see we've lost a lot of the color data, but that's actually preserved in our high poly over here. Okay, and then what we want to do here is occasionally, with this attribute color, this is the vertex colors, Blender does not, if we go to our data and we go to color attributes, you'll see it says vertex color. Okay, and you can change this, convert color attribute, and there's this face corner or byte data. This just automatically changes this to a more recognizable format for other softwares. So if we click that, it'll take a few seconds. Okay. And you can see that that's happened over there. That's converted it to the base, corner, and byte data. So that's basically that. And then once we've done that, we can create our low poly. Okay, so we can reduce the details even more, and we've got this much lower poly. So if we turn this off and turn the high one back on, okay, and we hold that, see, that's got 2.8 million vertices. Okay, and if we go to our low poly and select that, it says 20,000, but if we actually go over to our modifiers, it's actually 14,000. Okay, and you can, once again, you can play with the decimate modifier to get it even lower if you want, but once you get it too low, you might start getting some of these errors here. So you essentially want something like that, around about 3.5. And that's it, guys. That's Ngone and Ngone Pro. Available on GUMROAD and Blender Market. I'll put the links in the description. And for anybody who has already downloaded it and is watching this, please update to the latest versions. There's some bug fixes and things like that, and quality of life stuff, especially for the basic users. That's a free upgrade if you've already downloaded it. Going forward, the Ngone Basic will be $2.99. Okay, thanks a lot, and see you in another video.